This is Scott Barber, and I'm going to share with you today 4 reasons why executives often see testing as an epic fail. But before I do that, let's make sure we understand what epic fail is. Okay, we're testers. We all know what fail is. But to illustrate epic fail, let's think about this. I have two boys, 10 and 13. They have a trampoline in the backyard. Okay, they like to do things like front flips and whatnot. And so when they're trying to do a front flip and they don't land it, that's a fail. No big deal, right? Whatever, get up, do it again. However, when they try to do a flip and they don't land it and they fall on their back and bounce off the trampoline and hurt themselves, and their little brother catches it on the recorder on his phone and posts it to YouTube, that's an epic fail. We don't want to be an epic fail, especially not in the eyes of the executives, the folks that sign our paychecks, the folks that give us a job, a reason to do the testing that I hope we all love to do, the career that we've chosen. So 4 reasons. Reason 1, executives see testing as a cost center, because it is. It's not a profit center. Unless you work for a company that bills clients to do testing on their behalf, you're a cost center just like coffee. Same side of the accounting spreadsheet. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not valuable, because everybody knows that you don't have a technology company, especially not one that makes software, if you don't have caffeine. So coffee is really important, so is testing. I'm not minimizing our importance, but what I'm saying is on the accounting spreadsheet, when you're calculating the bottom line, when those executives have to go brief their shareholders and their investors, they want to make everything on that cost side as small as possible. So when times get tight, they're not going to eliminate coffee, right? They know techies need caffeine, but they might go to a cheaper brand. Well, it's kind of the same thing with testing. When time gets tight and you're in the cost center, you're on the hook. You have to prove your value or you're getting cut. So it has nothing to do with whether you should be there or not. And there are some accounting ways to kind of get around that. And I'm not going to get into all that right now. But the long and the short is, as long as you're on the cost center side of that equation, you're not generating profit. And therefore, you are not one of the executive's favorite things. Second reason that executives tend to see testing as an epic fail is the fact that nobody, not you, not me, nobody wants to have to pay for testing. Sometimes they're willing to pay for the value that results from testing, but nobody wants to pay for it. Take your tester hat off for a minute. Think about it. You've got a car. The brakes are squeaking. You take it to the shop. What do they tell you? They say, oh, okay, drop off the car. Come on back. We'll call you in a couple hours. We're going to run some diagnostics. That'll cost about $400. And after we run the diagnostics, then we'll give you a call, tell you how much it's going to cost to fix the brakes. You're like, I already know what's wrong with the brakes. I just need you to fix it. Oh, well, that's what we have to do. We have to run the diagnostics. We have to test it to make sure. You don't want to pay for that. You just want to pay for the fix. So is it really so unreasonable for an executive who's never been part of a software development team to say, I don't want to pay for testing, I just want it fixed, I just want good software? It is not actually unreasonable for an executive to say, if you just develop it right the first time, what do we need to test it for? Now, I'm not saying he's right. I'm not saying he's right, but what I am saying is somebody with no other information, it's not an unreasonable thing to say. And so until we can educate them, until we can show them the value, testing as an activity doesn't have value to them. Reason 3 executives often see testing as an epic fail is because for executives, quality is not a primary goal. Quality is an unfortunate derivative necessity. What do I mean by that? Look, if you're an executive in a for-profit company, your goal is to generate revenue and make a profit. That's your job. That's what you, as an executive, get paid for. That's what your shareholders expect. That's what your board of directors expect. That's what your investors expect. So the fact that this particular company has chosen software as a means to generate revenue and increase profit is a choice, right? Secondary goal. And a tertiary goal is to make that software good enough that users are willing to pay for it. So quality is just something that has to happen to make money. Now here's the deal. If making quality software costs too much money for it to turn a profit, it's real simple. They're not going to do it. They're either going to sell poor quality software until they run out of money because they lose all their customers, or they're going to turn to make something else where they can turn a profit, like, I don't know, lawn chairs. So the point here is, you can't just tell an executive, well, we're important because we help you have a high quality product. The reality is they don't want a high quality product. They want a product of just high enough quality to be worth what they want to charge for it without getting a bunch of returns or bad press. Or maybe to be just a little bit better than their competitor. That's the bar that they want. Now, that leads to reason 4, which is kind of a fundamental disconnect in the perspectives of executives and testers. Testers tend to value quality and the product more than they value profit and business success. Now, this is just a personality trait. This is not a bad thing. In fact, it's really kind of valuable, because executives, as much as they don't want to care about things like testing and quality, they know that if their product is of too poor a quality, they can't sell it. If they can't sell it, they can't make money. No money, unhappy investors, unhappy shareholders, all the way down the line. You get the picture. So the fact that we look from the other side can be valuable to them. However, we have to understand that the people who are signing our paychecks have a different perspective from us. We have to speak to them and understand when they make a decision that says, ship it anyway, that really is their call. Because what we don't know, or what we might not know, is that it would cost, let's say 2 weeks to fix this bug that you just found. But in those 2 weeks, maybe we have to cancel the commercial time slot and refit some other part of the business. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Let's go back to the commercial. Millions of dollars. These companies spend millions of dollars for commercial time slots, and you say, let's slip it a week or two to fix this little bug or this big bug. And the executive's job is to look at that and say, okay, if I slip to fix the bug, then we don't have the bug. It cost me 2 weeks and millions of dollars in advertising revenue. Or advertising expenses, because we've got to pull all that stuff, right? It's just no value, lots of money. But if we don't fix it, what's going to happen? 3 or 4 people around the world are going to take this obscure little path, and things are going to go bad for them, and they're going to complain. But the reality is, by the time they actually buy the software and install it and click the little button to register the software, we're just going to push the update that's got the fix in it anyway, because it's only going to take us 2 weeks. So by the time it hits the shelves, they buy it, they download it, they update it. We're talking about 2 unhappy people. Are 2 unhappy people worth $4 million worth of lost advertising revenue? You know what? That's not my call to make. That's the executive's decision to make. And sometimes they'll make it right and sometimes they'll make it wrong. But at the end of the day, we as testers have to remember that these decisions are based on that kind of logic. When your bug isn't getting fixed, it doesn't necessarily mean nobody cares. It just means that the consequences of fixing it right now are in somebody who has the authority to make a decision, in their perspective, that is, fixing it right now is more detrimental than making the ship date and fixing it later. So where does this lead me? This leads me to key takeaways. Key takeaway number 1 is executives fund testing to help them increase revenue, not increase expenses. So if in an executive's eyes, there we go, you are an expense, that means that you are not adding enough value. Your activities, your value cannot be tied in their eyes to revenue. So part two. If you want to avoid seeming like an epic fail to executives, you need to learn to help the business increase revenue. You need to learn to speak their language. You need to learn how to show the value that you provide in terms that they understand. Because at the end of the day, as much as we'd love to train the executives, it's really our job to learn how to speak their language, not their job to learn how to speak ours. So if you want to be successful, and you want to be seen as successful and valuable and worth that salary that you get, you need to learn how to make sure that your work not only does provide value, but is seen to provide value to the business in terms of revenue and profitability. My name's Scott Barber, and that was why executives frequently see software testing as an epic fail. Thank you.